The Detroit Red Wings are off to an absolute heater to start the season. They're 5-1-0 on the year, which has tied them for the second most points in the NHL, alongside Boston and Colorado behind the Vegas Golden Knights. And I would hazard to guess that even the most ardent Detroit Red Wings supporter who thought that this team was going to take a leap forward this year didn't think they would take a leap this big this soon. I myself thought that the Red Wings would improve from last year, but still narrowly miss the playoffs. But right now, they look like one of the best teams in the NHL, so how the heck did that happen? In my opinion, in reviewing all of the Red Wings games and just looking at the numbers, there's really three big reasons why the Red Wings are doing so well to start the season, and they also kind of reveal whether or not this hot start is going to be sustainable, or if the Red Wings might fizzle out and fall back to earth. Reason number one is the big man himself, Alex DeBrincat, who is leading the NHL in points with 12 and goals with 8. I absolutely loved the DeBrincat acquisition over the summer. I said it was one of the sneaky best moves of the entire offseason, and that Stevie Y had pulled a rabbit out of his hat, kind of like he did with Sergachev at Tampa. But compared to the rest of his 6-year history in the NHL, DeBrincat is just playing at a completely different level, and kind of an unsustainable one in my opinion. Obviously, nobody's expecting him to keep up with this torrid pace he's on to start the season, which would end up with him having 109 goals and 164 points. He's going to come down to earth, but the question is just how far back down to earth he's going to come. According to the advanced statistics website MoneyPuck, while DeBrincat scored 8 goals in his first 6 games, his expected goals based on the quality of his shots is actually 2.4. That's 37th in the NHL, behind guys like Troy Terry, Connor Bedard, Mikko Rantanen, and Brandon Hagel of the Tampa Bay Lightning. His goals above expected 6 games into the year, meaning the difference between the number of goals that an average shooter would get given the quality of his shots and the number of goals he's actually scored, is 5.6. Nobody in the NHL is above 3. And even if you take into account his shooting talent, which MoneyPuck actually can do in a separate statistic called goals above shooting talent, he still leads the NHL by a full 2 goals over the next closest player. In short, the fancy stats say that DeBrincat should have scored between 2 and 3 goals to start the season, but in reality he scored 8. And in looking at all of his goals myself, I noticed that he has had a couple of very lucky goals, an odd deflection, a seeing eye puck, and an empty net goal, but the other goals that he scored, which have been off of high quality shots and chances, were set up by his teammate Dylan Larkin. And Larkin himself is actually second in the NHL in points with 11, but his goals above expected is actually 0, meaning he is scoring the exact number of goals that the math would project him to score, which is why Larkin is the number 2 reason on my list as to why the Red Wings are doing really well to start the season. Dylan Larkin is just plain good. Even if his production is a bit inflated, DeBrincat is clearly the best winger that Larkin's ever gotten the chance to play with, and his productivity is reflecting that. While his assists might dip down a little bit as DeBrincat's goal scoring goes down, I think he's going to continue to produce, and this is going to end up being a breakout year for Dylan Larkin, who's going to probably, in my estimation, be a 90-point player this year. Now for DeBrincat, his expected goals per 60 estimates that he will end up getting somewhere around 38 to 40 goals this year, which is in line with his peak productivity over the course of his career. So while I think that DeBrincat will cool off and probably end up having a very good year for him and a probably all-star level year for anybody, Dylan Larkin, I think, is about to take the next step by virtue of being paired with DeBrincat. Larkin's production is all legit, and I think it's going to continue for the rest of the year. But the third reason why the Red Wings are off to such a hot start, and the biggest reason, in my opinion, is that their goaltending has been
adequate.
Wouldn't it be adequate?
In my Red Wings preview, when I broke down why I didn't think Detroit would end up making the playoffs, the biggest reason that stood out was their goaltending. I didn't trust in either Ville Husso or James Reimer to step up and be a starting level quality goaltender, which is frankly what the Red Wings need to be able to get into the playoffs. Now, before all you Red Wings fans jump down my throat and say, see, we told you that Ville Husso was actually a really good goaltender, slow your roll. According to MoneyPuck, in his 4 games played, his goal saved above expected is 0.2, and his save percentage above expected is 0.001. His 9.01 save percentage is 33rd in the NHL, and his 3.04 GAA is 31st. So what do all these stats mean? Basically, they mean that Ville Husso has been as good as expected. He has stopped the shots that he is supposed to stop, and that is actually a huge upgrade from what he was last year. In 2022, Ville Husso had the 6th lowest goal saved above expected in the NHL, with negative 14.7 goals saved above expected, meaning he let in 15 more goals than he should have. His save percentage above expected, which was negative 0.005, was slightly better in terms of rankings. It was the 19th worst, but still, the fact of the matter is that Ville Husso has been playing adequately this year, which has been good enough to keep Detroit in the win column. So, in terms of sustainability, do I think the Red Wings are going to just continue to plow along like an unstoppable freight train and win? Honestly, no. The Brinkett scoring is going to come down, and even though Dylan Larkin's productivity is going to remain pretty constant, he'll lose a few assists when DeBrincat stops scoring. The problem still remains Ville Husso. Is this the level that we can expect from him all year, or is he going to regress back to what he was last year, and this was just a hot, quote-unquote, start? Now, there is certainly the possibility that Ville Husso has improved over the summer, and that he is playing at a good enough level to backstop the Red Wings into the playoffs, and maybe DeBrincat's pairing with Larkin will propel him to a new height of goal scoring he hasn't reached in his career. That's certainly a possibility. But if you're asking me to bet the farm on that, I wouldn't do so right now. However, Red Wings fans should definitely be encouraged because this hot start to keep them in the playoff race when that inevitable cold spell comes.